What is the most toxic thing a parent can say to a child? That I'm ducking useless and can't do tea because I couldn't open a jar of tomato sauce for my mom at 1 AM. In my experience, divorced parents that say stuff like, "Don't talk about that to your other parent, tell your other parent, this your other parent is trying to manipulate you. You see what other parent did? I'm not saying you should hate them, but isn't bit ducked up that they did that? It really screws with the kid's head. If you're ever going through a divorce and have children, please find a way to sort your shit with your former spouse without involving your children more than necessary." You wrecked my marriage. No. He went to jail for sexually abusing me for 7 years. You're worthless. We're moving and you're not welcome. This is what my dad said to me while blackout drunk. After he took my sister's pizza that I made, ate it in front of me, and then threw the pizza at me after I asked him why the ducky's like that and walked away. We were supposed to be moving to a new place the next couple weeks after this fight. My sister's childhood best friend lived with us for several years because her mother made good on that very threat. Her parents were divorced and her father lived out of the area. Her mother decided she wanted to move and told the girl that her brother was moving too, but she wasn't welcome and could go live with her father instead. My sister's friend didn't want to move to where her father lived, so she moved in with us and lived with us until she went away to college 5 years later. Does hitting your kid count? Because that's how my dad talked to me. I kicked your mom out and I can kick you out as well. My dad was kicked out at 13. They started to throw that in my face as a threat to kick me out when I was 9. They'd start counting down the years. And by the time I was 11. So you're saying that I'm a bad parent and response to any form of help seeking of constructive criticism was the worst for me. If you're so depressed, why aren't you cutting? Cut deeper and kill yourself. She also forced me to sleep outside regularly. Dad let me in sometimes after midnight. She starts screaming and crying that she knows my dad and I are having an affair or he wouldn't have let me in. Oh, and ugly remarks about my appearance. How no one will ever love me or be friends with me. Which I guess she's right about that one. Constantly comparing you with your older siblings. And extremely different treatment. It makes you feel inferior to them and like no matter how much you try or do, it will never be enough. I gave up everything I liked for you. 95? Why not 100? Why can't you be like so and so's child? They do one impressive thing. A bit subtler than the top comments here, but can eat a child's self-worth and guilt them well into adulthood and pass by standard alarms. Edit. Yes. Asian parents, haha. I blame but don't hate them. It's a struggle when your default behavior is to not think you have worth when achieving something is for some reason there's always more you could have done, and what I just finished isn't actually that impressive in my mind. It is. And will be. Okay. Over and over again for years and years. I wish you'd commit suicide. I'm going to throw myself off a building. You all hate me anyway. Apostrophe. And 100 variations of that. Talk shitty about the other parent then compare you to them. You're just like your father. It may not be as harsh as other things stated, but the dreaded "it's all in your head, you are just imagining it." As it turned out, I wasn't imagining it, and now I struggle to differentiate what's real and what's not because I was led to believe I thought I was imagining things constantly. 1. You are useless. 2. No man would ever want to marry you. 3. I wish I never had you. G. Thanks mom for showing me I am worth something. Sarcasm. Aosus copyright airing. 2 decades have gone by and it still pinches me today. The list goes on, but those 3 statements were repeatedly said. I would never treat my children like that. Hell. When I have kids, they are not visiting their grandparents without supervision. This time I will stand up to them. I have nothing to lose this time. It's been 20 years. Better late than never. Life would be better without you. You are the reason for our misery. Damn. This thread is just validating that some people should not be parents. Look at Sarah over there. I wish you were the one who died, not your father. I don't believe you. When the school told her I'd been sexually assaulted. Threatening suicide when you try to set a boundary. There's other things. Arguably worse. But I'd honestly feel comfortable sharing them. This actually happened to my cousin. Her father committed suicide when she was 8. From then on her mother became an alcoholic. After losing custody of her kids, she was eventually granted the ability to see her kids unsupervised, which did not pan out. The kids spent the weekend with her, but pretty soon she started drinking very heavily. My cousin told her she would have to tell another adult that she was drinking, and the mom started calling her all sorts of terrible names, so my cousin ran to the bathroom and locked the door behind her. I swear to God, the mom actually said to her own 15-year-old daughter, "When the police ask you why both your parents are dead, you'll know what to tell them. I'm going to kill myself just like your father did, and both will be your fault." My cousin is so sweet, funny, and pretty, and she's one of my favorite people in the planet. You're the reason why your dad and I almost divorced. My mom laughed at me when I said that I most likely have a mental illness or a disorder. Then she asked me if my grades were okay, and I said yes. Then she replied that it's okay. I've been asking her to get me therapy for almost 7 years now. My mum told me I deserved nothing in life because I forgot to do the dishes before she came home, lol. I wish you were never born. When I was 11, I overheard my mother telling someone that at least my looks meant she didn't have to worry about me being molested or raped. That ducked me up for years. You're a useless disappointment. Do you think you'll ever amount to anything? You're pathetic. You're like a tiny little ant. I could destroy you so easily. I don't deserve you. I'm too good of a parent for you. You're an abuser. Edit. Damn, this blew up. I never wanted to have kids with your dad. He forced me to have you. Your uncle wouldn't mess with you if you didn't walk around the house like a SLT. Not told to me, but a childhood friend. Her uncle was arrested a few years after that, but the thing that hurt her the worst is that her mother assumed it was her fault. Insulting your intelligence is a horrible thing for a parent to do. Something where if a friend or stranger had said it, you might just laugh, shrug it off. But your own parent saying it? A good parent should stay away from anything that can ruin your self-esteem because they hold a lot more power than they tend to realize. Look, X kid is doing it better than you. Look, that kid is X year old and they can do it. One Friday when I was somewhere in the 8-10 year old range, we were going shopping. We were walking towards the mall behind a group of young guys in their late teens, early 20s. They were laughing and joking, seemingly having the time of their life. It looked like a lot of fun. I pointed at them and told my mom that it reminded me of the song my dad used to play. "The Boys Are Back in Town," an old Thin Lizzy song. My mom looked straight ahead and bluntly answered, "You will never experience that." It wasn't exactly the kind of answer I had hoped to get. All I could get out of my mouth was, "What? Full stop. You won't," was her final saying on the matter. Way to ruin a Friday evening. I'm tired of pretending to love you. After I got accepted to my dream college, my mom told me I'm too stupid to actually go and succeed. I graduated high school with honors. But I thought she was right. I dropped out before I even went. My drunken father once told me, "You'll never be the man that I am." I remember thinking, "You're damn right I won't be." The classics from my work as a voluntary wellbeing counselor. "Why do you always make me sad?" Or "Now you've made me sad. I wanted a better, nicer child." "You don't really want this." "I know you. You want, insert whatever parent wants." "I'm so disappointed now." Plus combined with silent treatment and or crying. If your parents comparing you to others or they are insensitive to their actions. My friend's parents always compare him, my friend, to his older brother. and it messes him up so much that he has low self-confidence. Questioning my father on why golden child is so obviously the golden child. Do you love him more, Dad? Dad, when you have kids you'll understand. Well, now I have kids and I still don't get it. I don't love you. When I was your ages was 98 pounds. After telling them about my sexual abuse at the hands of a family member. Happened 20 years ago. Get over it already. People deal with all sorts of shit. So what if he did things to you? If you didn't want it to happen you should have told somebody. When I spoke to the police. If you report it it'll rip this family apart and it'd most likely kill us. You can't do that. We will have to protect him. Prison and people who touch kids isn't a safe place. After the police spoke to them. He is our son too. We have to protect him, abuser, as well as you, victim. Bit dark but it's my reality. I had and have some speaking problems where I can't motivate my mouth opening enough to let the words out. One day in an argument with my father. He told me that I should learn to speak. That really hurts, especially from your father. Not the most toxic by far. But potentially the most common. Making fun of your kid for making a change in their life for the better. I was always antisocial and the complete opposite of athletic. When I began to try and work out to gain some muscle, I got teased by my parents. All that did was discourage me and make me want to quit. This could go for anything. Is your kid antisocial? The WLLOOKW who decided to Vethiakava ND join us is ducking toxic and just encourages them to stay in their room. If your kid decides to make a positive change in their life, don't ducking discourage them so you can get an easy laugh. That you are a burden they never wanted. He would never do that. He was just kidding. When I told my mom my stepdad molested me. Happened again. And 20 years later after another sibling was molested. She believed them. We made you so your brother would have someone to play with. My dad once threw me into a wall and dragged me across the floor by my hair. I left for a few days because I didn't feel safe. But came back because I couldn't leave my sister. At the end of it all he said, "I'm not sorry for what I did and I won't apologize." Bonus. My mom told me that all the bad things that happened to me are my fault and I deserve them. Even the 2 accidents I was in? That weren't my fault. Yes. So I deserve to be molested by that guy. Too? You probably did. I'll remind her this next time something happens to her. I say every time I look at your face I see him telling me I'm the result of our pay. Then years and years later I regret never getting you aborted. I booked the appointment and everything. Cheers mum. Say it son. OSIEMPSSY. I'm a duck in PSSY. Say it. I'm a worthless sack of shit that amounts to nothing. Ducking 0. Nothing. Say it. We think you'll be pregnant before you turn 18. This was when I was 15 and still a virgin. When child me asked his mother why she has her white powder stuff. I take it so I can deal with you lot. You lot referring to her own kids. It's your fault she died my mum to me after my aunt passed away from a massive heart attack. After learning her son had uphead me since I was 3. Thank you for the upvotes and comments. This was said to me age 7. The abuse continued till I was 13. Last year I severed contact with my whole family. It's been difficult but my mental health has improved immensely. I'm in a living supportive relationship and are expecting. Get the duck out IDK. My mom drinks a lot and she got mad and kicked me and my sister out of the house saying y'all are the reason I've tried suicide. I wish I aborted you. There were other things but that one really sticks in my head. Edit. Can we please stop with the lol you the lucky one abortion is murder comments? My mom has 4 kids. And once when I was about 15 she unprovokedly, I know it's not a word, but it works, told me she never wanted kids and the only reason she had us was because my dad wanted kids. My little sister was a mistake and my older ones are twins, so that's how she had 4. None of us talk to her. And she makes no effort to talk with her kids. It recently was my 30th birthday and she texted me happy birthday. Long story short, the most toxic thing a parent can do is stop being a parent. My heart breaks for each and every commenter on this thread. I am so sorry for your pain. And I hope you can overcome. You're the reason behind every problem in this family. Said to me word for word by my mother because I had a migraine and requested that they help keep my sisters as quiet as possible because I was hurting. I even asked to just be let out of the car so I could bus home, but they wouldn't let me do that either. They wouldn't help me with problems and they wouldn't let me help myself. How TF am I the reason behind every problem? You think I ducking want migraines? No, I ducking don't. It hurts so bad that it's increased my pain tolerance to the point that I have to have oozing pus sacs before I even notice an infection. I didn't ask for that amount of pain. I remember my mom calling me a SLT when I was 15. I was cut off financially at 18, still in high school. I'm the family disappointment for not going to college. I did online classes so I wouldn't have to pay rent. Apparently online classes weren't good enough, so I still had to pay rent. My siblings still get everything paid for. 3 years ago I was going through money issues and couldn't afford groceries. So I didn't eat. My parents took my sister grocery shopping monthly as she was in college making something of herself. You don't have the right to privacy. You are a child. You have no rights. At least I'm putting a roof over your head. I wish I never had you. When I was 15, used to live with my dad. Just the two of us in a room. Just one room, 10 feet x 10 feet square. Community toilet. You get the gist. So one day I cooked some instant noodles. Used spoon to eat. Didn't have a fork. Dropped the spoon while eating, so in a hurry I grab another one. An hour or two later dad returns from work. Sees 2 spoons in the corner near the tap and utensils, which were kept in a corner so that I can wash them when the water supply comes. He enters the room, sees those 2 spoons and says, "What did you need the second spoon for? To duck your ass?" First time I have told this to anyone. I translated what he said that day but couldn't translate the derogatory and abusive tone he used. Thank you for reading. You don't deserve any Christmas presents. So you can just sit there and watch your brother open all of his. My stepmom. I was 8 and Christmas meant everything to me. At the time. She meant what she said and stuck to it. My dad didn't stand up for me. Just let it happen. If you don't accept Jesus Christ as your personal savior, you'll go to hell when you die. No. All the cousins your age that we let you play with all the time aren't Christians. So when they die, they'll all go to hell. Unless they get saved first. You should try to help them get saved. Why do you keep crying every night? If they go to heaven or hell, it's God's will either way. Don't you trust God to do the right thing? Edit. You're not depressed. You're just letting Satan control your thoughts. Pray to God to make the demons go away. Oh, you are still depressed and self-harming now? You're not accepting God's help. It's your fault. If you prayed more and let him in, you would be fine. Well, you're still depressed and now you're drinking. There must be a demon in you. Here. Have an exorcism. Have 5. Your sister can have 1 too, because if she sides with you, she must be possessed too. I understand, but I don't respect you, my mother, after I came out twice. Some people think that's not a big deal. It is huge and it effing hurts so much. Only your family care about you. No. I am your father. Edit. Corrected the format to match the actual quote since perfectionists were complaining. My mum leaving my name out of her suicide note while mentioning my other siblings by name. Yeah, she did it. You look more beautiful if you lose weight. After all I've done for you in raising you into the man you are today. You can't just do this one thing for me? You will never succeed in life. Jumping their ass when they are happy and playing. And then babying them when they are sick. Duck humor. This is literally like the fourth tree I've ever seen. Edit. English is hard. Mine told me you really are the favorite. After years of mistreating my sister and then claiming that she's crazy for calling it out. I'm pleased to say neither of us talked to our parents. You are a disappointment. When I was your age I had friends and played sports. Semicolon. Also yelling at a ducking 1-year-old. So this may not be as bad as some of the others in here. But as early as 10 years old my dad would tell me, you know, I really thought you were going to be the one to make me proud. I'm a middle child, along with the person you are when you're 12 is basically who you're going to be forever. Add those together and you get a 24-year-old who is convinced it is physically impossible for them to ever be good enough. You are uglier than your other siblings. 8-year-old me. What are you going to do today? Dad. Drink beer. Watch a SI movie. Jerk off. Take a nap and hope that all of you bitches, me, my mom, never get married. Men are just pigs that want sex. Be independent and never rely on anybody ever. Don't get married. I didn't have to marry your father. I had lots of boyfriends. But marrying him was the one mistake I ever made. I had lots of boyfriends. They just got the wrong idea because I was nice to them. Someone else has it worse than you. You don't have the right to be sad because you are privileged. Respect needs to be earned. This apparently includes respecting basic human rights. Systematic discrimination would have been solved if it bothered someone enough to do something about it. He wanted his next wife to be Asian. Because they are loyal. It's nice to be wanted, no that is racist and pretty sure they had an Asian fetish which is so wrong. Edit. Your sister brother are better than you. Learn from them. You're not as good as older brother. There are honestly a lot of good examples. If only you were like your sibling. Why would you do something stupid like that? Why do you always have to screw things up? But I think that this one wins for me. 1. Every dream I ever had died the moment you were born. Comparison and saying I have inferiority complex with my own sibling. Honestly, being compared to other kids is the worst. Makes you feel kinda worthless and think to yourself that you disappointed your parents. Sometimes I think about you at night. IDK how your parent meant that, but I sure hope it is not what I think. You're not depressed. When I was younger my mum told me she only had me to replace the baby she had that died. Surprise surprise, we didn't have a good relationship when I was younger. I've been overweight obese my whole life. And when I was around 10-12 my mother told me that a friend thinks I look like I'm pregnant. I doubt it was her friend speaking. Almost sure she made up that. Never forgot that. Maybe she thought this would make me lose weight. It didn't, and she didn't really do anything to help me. But sure as hell it added to my self-esteem issues. Ultimately I know it's on me that I look the way I look. But it's hard not to think that my parents could help when I was young.